right in the kisser.
Hey, how the devil are you? Why are you? Don't know. Anyway, so I think last week, it was the last video I did, I think. I did a review on the Q Acoustics subwoofer, the new subwoofer they got, with an infinite baffle on it. I did like that subwoofer a lot. And in that, and I paired it up with the 5020s, the Q Acoustics 5020s, just about set that. And in that video, I used the IEMA T20 and the preamp and the IEMA A20 amplifier. I know some of you have been waiting a long time for me to review this. This Friday, promise, okay? Watch out for this Friday. We'll have a beer together and we chat about it. Anyway, so watch out for that. Make sure you subscribe, otherwise you're going to miss out. Oh! Anyway, I've lost my train of thought now. That's what it was. Right. So in that video, I said I set the high pass to 80 and the low pass to 70. Because when I set my high pass and low pass filters, I like to leave a 10 Hertz gap. And also, if the speaker has a bass port, if I'm using a subwoofer, I always plug the bass ports. That's what I always do. And now, Dyne Audio have a good video on that, why you should plug your bass ports when you use a subwoofer. Links to that will be in the description box below. And it's also a good article from Kef about high and low pass filters on their speakers. Or I'll also link that in the description below. So have a look, okay? And in that article, they actually recommend, I can't remember what speakers they were, something Meta, they're all Meta now, aren't they? Right? So they said set the high pass to 70 Hertz for this certain set of speakers, and the low pass with one of their subwoofers to 50. So a 20 Hertz difference. And in that video, I got a comment in the comment section, obviously. Where else would it be? Right? In my letterbox. I got a letter. No. I had a comment in the comment section. And it said something, I'll read it out here because I've got it on the screen over here. The Q Acoustics are set up with the high pass filter at 80 Hertz and the low pass filter at 70 Hertz. In my experience, this creates a gap in the sound. The rear ports are also plugged, making the sound seem thinner. And I don't think this is ideal to optimize the 5020's potential with the subwoofer. All done very politely. There was no malice involved in that. It's just giving his opinion. And I then referred him to them articles I just mentioned. And he said, why not do a video on it? Do a sound test. And I thought, what a great idea. So he gave me a good idea for a video. And what I like people discussing things in the comments. And I also like when they're civil, okay? This is what this community is about. Being civil, not name calling. You're an idiot. You don't think like me, so therefore you're stupid. None of that. It was just polite. He gave his opinion. Great. No problem with that. I welcome that all the time. So anyway, but he gave me a great idea for a video. So this is why I'm here doing this video right now. So I've set up a sound test and I've used a couple of tracks all mixed in with each other just to give you a better representation of the bass coming through. So different tracks rather than just using one track. And what I've done is in one part of it, I've set the high pass. Oh, I forgot to say that during this setup, I thought I'd read the instructions, the manual of the subwoofer I'm using. So I'm using the DALI 8D sub and the DALI Spectre 2 speakers. And in the sub manual, it said you should set your low pass. If you're using DALI Spectre 2s, set your low pass to 90 Hertz. So I'm glad I'm doing this because I didn't know that. Read the flipping manual. Right? I'm like, yeah, who needs a manual? Whatever. Typical geezer, innit? Yeah, if you're using the DALI Spectre 2, set it to 90. So what I've done, I've done one part of it. The high pass is set on here on the A20 to 100 Hertz and the low pass filter set to 90 Hertz. Also, I have the bass ports plugged, okay? Then I've done another sample with the bass ports unplugged and the high pass and low pass filter set to 90. So I won't waffle on anymore because I've been waffling along quite a bit now, haven't I, right? Get on with it, Mart. Shut up. No. I'm having an argument with myself. Don't worry about it. So without further ado, have a listen to this sound test. Now, I would suggest wearing headphones, okay? Because if you listen on your speakers in your room, you're hearing the reflections and whatever in my room and in your room, and it'll confuse the sound test. YouTube isn't great, as it flipping is, without you hearing two rooms in it. So stick a pair of headphones on and you get a better representation of it. Also, once the sound test is finished, give me your opinion, pause it, and give me your opinion in the comment section. Don't wait for me to give my opinion, okay? Because my opinion might influence you. You know what the mind's like, it's a tricky thing, isn't it? You know, I might say something, you go, oh yeah, I agree, right? So without hearing from me first, make a comment, then start playing the video again. I just spat across the room, bit of food up my mouth, shot across there then. Hope that wasn't on camera. And if it wasn't on camera, you know now anyway, so there we are. So here's the sound test, hoi! did you pause the video and go and write your comment? Right, so I'll tell you what I think. I think that A, which was the 100 high pass, 90 low pass, and the bass ports plugged, sounded better. And I thought it sounded cleaner, more detailed. I think the integration worked a lot better. That's my personal preference. And I thought B, which was the 90 and 90, high pass 90, low pass 90, with the bass ports unplugged, I thought it sounded confused. I thought the bass sounded bloated. I felt that you lost some of the mid-range on the speaker. I just didn't like it at all. It wasn't awful, and there's the mad thing. So B sounded more bassy, didn't it? Right? And that may give you the first impression you may have is like, oh, that sounds more bassy with that off. Oh, that sounds better. No, not for me. It wasn't. If you lean in and listen to the B, the bass, it was bloated and confused. It didn't integrate well with the speakers at all. And if you feel that you want more bass, I would do it like me personally, and just turn the volume up on the sub. Now, I didn't need to touch the volumes on either the sub or the amplifier. They were both the same. Now, I give you the reasons why I think it sounded like that. So first of all, when you leave the port unplugged, so you set, let's say for example, you set the high pass to 90 and the low pass to 90, and you leave the bass ports unplugged. The bass port is on a speaker to give that speaker more bass, okay? If you don't plug them up, so you set your high pass to 90 to only send 90 to above 90 hertz to your bookshelves. But what will happen is that bass port may be putting out frequencies lower than 90 hertz. So your bookshelf speaker could be going lower than the high pass you've set. Could be giving out 80. And that's what gives that confusion and a sort of muddled low mid-range, high bass range around there. And I think it lacks a bit of punch. So around about 100 hertz, that's where you get your punch. So and it felt muddled, okay? A little bit less detail around that frequency range. Also as well, is that when you don't leave a gap of say 10 hertz, which I like to leave, that's what caused the bloatedness. So what I've done, so they say a picture paints 1,000 words. So I've done this diagram, right? It's very rudimentary, okay? I did it on PowerPoint earlier today, okay? Just to show you what I mean. This is not set to scale or anything at all, right? So don't think, oh my God, he's out by 1 millimeter and 1 hertz here, whatever. I just did it quickly on PowerPoint, just to give you an example of what I'm talking about. So let's look at the first example. So this is the way I do it with a 10 hertz gap, okay? So you've got a bit of a gap there, and you can see what happens is the high pass is sloping in, and I've assumed it's going to be a minus 12 dB slope. And the low pass is sloping out, and I'm assuming that's going to be a minus 12 dB slope. There are different ones, but I'm just making the assumptions here. And ideally, you want to cross over about minus 3 dB. I'm not saying it is, but it's going to be there or thereabouts if you leave a 10 hertz gap, right? You're not going to lose any of the frequencies because you're going to get, in that situation, you're going to get, so if you cross over, say at 100 high pass and 90 low pass, at least 95 to 100 is going to blend in to the low pass, and 90 to 95 is going to blend into the high pass. So you don't lose any signal in between that gap. Now, in the second example, am I making sense here? Are you getting it? In the next example, you can see that if you set it to 90 and 90, you button those high pass and low pass filters right up against each other. And they certainly are not crossing over at minus 3 dB, okay? And when you button them up against each other, you've got the high pass frequencies blending into the low pass and vice versa. And that's what causes that bloating and weird sound, okay? Again, this is only my opinion, right? So, you know, your opinions may differ, but I'm trying to give examples of what I think. No matter what my opinion is, there's no really right or wrong, because if you like the sound, I like the sound when it's a 10 hertz gap and the bass port's plugged. I prefer that, okay? But if you like the sound of 90 and 90, so high pass and low pass the same, and your bass port's unplugged, who am I to say that's wrong? Okay? If you like that sound, you like that sound. And I've said before in previous videos, you know, people who write hi-fi reviews, who review kit on YouTube or online or whatever, right? It's just their opinion. You know, they're not sitting in your room. They don't have your ears. Okay? So I may say something's fantastic. You get it and go, oh, it don't sound very good. Because you might like something different to what I like, okay? Your room might be very different. Your listening area might be very different to my listening area. An example would be, I was quite shocked to see recently that What Hi-Fi reviewed the EVERSOLO Play. I think it's a very decent device. It's quite picky with speaker matching, but I think it's a very decent device. And they only scored it 3 out of 5 stars. Now, if I was writing that review, I'd give it at least 4 out of 5. It's not quite a 5 because of that difficult speaker matching, but it's at least a 4. I don't know why they mark it down as 3. So see, you've got differences of opinion right there. And they didn't give it a really fair review. They used some high-end $2,000 bookshelves, which were with a lowish sensitivity. They were 4 ohm, but they did have quite a low sensitivity, so I don't know. I don't know if they give them a fair crack at the whip with them speakers, but there we are. But there you go, 2 hi-fi reviewers with different opinions, okay? So ultimately, the choice is down to you at the end of the day. Right, so anyway, that's come to the end of the video. Would love to know your thoughts in the comments section, and I will catch you in the next one.